Welcome back to Hidden Coins USA. 3 coins, 3 stories, and 1 question that could change the way you look at every coin in your pocket. Because one of these dollar coins was ignored for years, another was spent in vending machines across America, and the third sat quietly in collections while most people had no idea what they were holding. Today, we're diving into 3 famous American coins that continue to attract collectors, treasure hunters, and everyday people searching through pocket change. And here's the crazy part. Millions of these coins were made, but a small number became special, not because of gold, not because of silver, but because of rarity, condition, mistakes, and timing. So before you spend another coin, watch this entire video. Because the next coin you overlook could be the one collectors are desperately searching for. Let's begin with coin number 1. The 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar. At first glance, it doesn't look special. In fact, many Americans disliked it when it was released. People confused it with a quarter. Stores didn't want it. Customers didn't want it. Banks struggled to move it, and yet decades later, collectors started taking another look. The year is 1979. America is changing. The economy is struggling. Inflation is making headlines. And the United States Mint decides to do something it had never done before. Put a real American woman on a circulating coin, not a symbolic figure. Not Lady Liberty, a real person. Susan B. Anthony, a woman whose fight for equal rights changed American history. The Mint hoped Americans would embrace the new dollar coin. Instead, many people rejected it almost immediately. The coin was small, too close in size to a quarter. People mixed them up. Cashiers made mistakes. Customers complained. And within a short time, millions of these dollar coins ended up sitting in storage. For years, they were ignored, forgotten, overlooked. But collectors know something most people don't. Sometimes the coins nobody wants become the coins everybody wants later. Now let's talk about the design. On the front, you see Susan B. Anthony strong, determined, focused. Around her are the words that define the nation. Liberty, in God we trust, and the date. Turn the coin over, and you see an eagle landing on the moon, a design inspired by the Apollo missions. A reminder of one of America's greatest achievements. The coin itself is made from copper-nickel-clad composition. No silver, no gold. Nothing precious. At least not at first. Because in coin collecting, rarity creates value. And rarity often starts with mistakes. The first thing collectors search for is condition. Most Susan B. Anthony dollars entered circulation. They got scratched, dropped, damaged, spent. A perfectly preserved example is much harder to find, and that is where values begin to climb. But condition is only the beginning. The real hunt starts when collectors examine the details. Tiny details, microscopic details. Details most people never notice. One of the most famous discoveries involves the mint mark, a tiny letter, small enough to ignore, powerful enough to change everything. On some 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollars, the mint mark appears different. Collectors call them wide rim and narrow rim varieties. To the average person, they look identical. To collectors, they are completely different coins. Imagine opening an old coin jar, dumping the contents onto a table, and suddenly spotting a variety most people miss. That's exactly why coin hunters search these dollars today. Now let's climb higher, because the real excitement begins with mint errors. Errors happen when something goes wrong during production. A die shifts, a strike is weak, a design doubles, a planchet enters the press incorrectly. The mint tries to catch these mistakes. Sometimes they fail, and when they fail, collectors pay attention. A doubled die can create letters that appear duplicated. An off-center strike can make the coin look dramatically different. A clipped planchet can remove part of the edge. And each error tells a story about the moment something went wrong inside the mint. Most coins are perfect. Error coins are not. That's exactly why collectors love them. Imagine holding two identical coins. One is worth $1, the other is worth hundreds, maybe thousands. The difference is a mistake almost nobody notices, and that's what makes coin collecting so fascinating. The possibility, the mystery, the hunt. Now here's where things get interesting. In the years after release, many Susan B. Anthony dollars disappeared into vaults. Rolls were stored, bags were stored. Entire shipments remained untouched. When these coins eventually returned to the market, collectors began searching through them one by one, looking for varieties, looking for errors, looking for treasures hidden in plain sight. Some spent weekends doing nothing but examining dollar coins under magnification. Others searched bankrolls. Some found nothing, some found surprises, and every discovery fueled the excitement even more. Because every collector knows a simple truth. You never know what you'll find until you look, and that's exactly why the 1979 Susan B. Anthony dollar remains one of America's most searched dollar coins today. But believe it or not, this is only the beginning, because the next coin on our list carries one of the most recognizable designs in American history, a coin created to celebrate 200 years of freedom, a coin millions of Americans have seen. A coin many people still spend without a second thought, and yet certain examples have become highly desirable among collectors. The Bicentennial quarter. And what happened with some of those quarters shocked the collecting world. Continue. But before we move on, think about this for a second. How many quarters have passed through your hands? Hundreds, thousands, maybe tens of thousands. Most people never look at them. They spend them, drop them in jars, leave them in cars, forget about them completely. And that is exactly why some of the most interesting coins in America continue hiding in plain sight. Coin number 2. The United States Bicentennial quarter. The quarter that celebrated America's 200th birthday. A coin millions of Americans recognize instantly. A coin that feels ordinary. A coin that many people still spend every single day. And yet some examples continue attracting serious attention from collectors. The year was 1976. America was preparing for something historic. 200 years since the Declaration of Independence. 200 years since the birth of a nation. The country wanted a celebration unlike anything before. Parades, events, television specials, commemorative products, and of course, commemorative coins. The United States Mint decided to create a special quarter, a special $50, and a special dollar coin, coins that would forever remind Americans of the Bicentennial. But there was something different about this quarter, something people noticed immediately. The date. Instead of showing a normal year, the coin displayed two dates. 1776, 1976, 2 centuries, 1 nation, 1 coin, and on the reverse side appeared one of the most recognizable designs ever placed on an American quarter, a colonial drummer, standing proudly, holding his drum, representing the spirit of the revolution, representing courage, representing independence, representing the birth of America itself. The design became iconic almost instantly. People saved them, children collected them, families put them aside. Millions entered circulation, millions more entered collections. And that is where the story begins. Because whenever millions of people save a coin, something unusual happens. Most examples remain common, but a small number become special. A very small number become rare, and a tiny number become legendary. At first glance, every bicentennial quarter looks identical. Same drummer, same dates, same basic appearance. But collectors know better. The smallest differences often create the biggest opportunities. Let's start with condition. Condition changes everything. A quarter that spent decades circulating through cash registers is very different from one preserved since the day it was minted. Scratches matter, wear matters, luster matters, eye appeal matters. The better the condition, the more collectors pay attention. Now imagine 2 bicentennial quarters, both minted in 1976. Both appear identical, One spent 40 years in circulation. The other sat untouched inside a collection. Which one would collectors want? The answer is obvious. Condition creates scarcity, and scarcity creates demand. But condition is only the beginning, because serious collectors look deeper, much deeper. They examine letters, numbers, edges, strike quality, mint marks, microscopic details invisible to most people. And sometimes they discover something unexpected, an error, a variety, a mistake, something that was never supposed to leave the mint. That's when ordinary becomes extraordinary. Imagine a coin press operating at incredible speed, metal blanks moving through machinery, dies striking thousands of coins, hour after hour, day after day. Everything must be perfect. Everything must remain precise. But machines are not perfect. People are not perfect. Mistakes happen, and those mistakes create opportunities. One of the first things collectors search for is doubling. A double die variety can create letters that appear duplicated, not dramatically, not like a cartoon, just enough to make experts stop and look again. The date, the lettering, the details. A small difference, a potentially important discovery, and that's exactly why collectors continue examining bicentennial quarters decades later. Then there are off-center strikes. These are fascinating. A blank planchet enters the striking chamber incorrectly. The dies come down. The design lands off-center. Part of the image is missing. Part of the coin remains blank. The result looks strange, almost unbelievable, and collectors love them, because every off-center strike tells a unique story. No two are exactly alike. Now imagine finding one in change, not in an auction, not from a dealer, not from a collection, in change. The possibility alone keeps people searching. But things become even more interesting when we talk about composition, because while most bicentennial quarters were struck using standard clad composition, special collector versions were produced using silver. And this changed everything. Suddenly there were multiple versions, multiple finishes, multiple collecting paths. Some people collected circulation strikes, others collected proof versions, others searched for silver examples, and every category developed its own market, its own demand, its own stories. Some collectors spent years building complete bicentennial sets, searching coin shows, searching dealers, searching estate sales, searching auctions, always hoping to find something special, always hoping to discover a hidden gem. And sometimes they did. One collector reportedly purchased an old collection simply because he noticed something unusual. Most buyers ignored it. Most buyers walked past it. He stopped, looked closer, and realized the quarter inside might be far more interesting than anyone believed. That moment changed everything, because great discoveries rarely announce themselves. They hide, they wait, they reward curiosity. And that is the true appeal of coin collecting. The possibility that everyone else missed something. The possibility that you won't. Now let's talk about strike quality. This is where many beginners make mistakes. They see an old coin and assume age creates value. Not necessarily. Collectors care about quality, sharp details, strong strikes, original surfaces, attractive appearance. A perfectly struck bicentennial quarter can command significantly more interest than a worn example, and that difference surprises many people. Because rarity is not always about age. Sometimes rarity is about survival. Millions were produced. Far fewer survived in exceptional condition. And that creates opportunity. Now imagine being a collector during the bicentennial celebration itself. The excitement is everywhere. Flags, celebrations, patriotism, special events, and suddenly special coins begin appearing. People pull them from change, show them to friends, set them aside, save them for the future. Many believed they would become valuable immediately. Most didn't, but that doesn't mean saving them was a mistake. Because decades later, collectors continue studying them, continue searching them, continue discovering new things about them, and that journey never truly ends. Because every year, new collectors enter the hobby. Every year, new collections surface. Every year, forgotten coin jars get opened, and every year somebody discovers something unexpected, something exciting, something worth talking about. And that brings us to one of the most important lessons in coin collecting. Never assume a coin is worthless without examining it carefully. Never assume common means uninteresting. Never assume millions produced means nothing matters, because history has repeatedly proven otherwise. Some of the most fascinating discoveries began with coins people almost ignored, coins sitting quietly in drawers, coins hiding in collections, coins forgotten for decades. And then one day someone looked closer, and everything changed. But if you think the Bicentennial quarter has an incredible story, wait until you see the next coin, because coin number 3 carries one of the most recognizable names in American numismatic history. A coin connected to one of the most famous presidents ever. A coin collected by millions. A coin that continues fascinating collectors more than 50 years after its release. The 1971 D Kennedy half-dollar. And what happened with certain examples made collectors pay very close attention. Continue. Next up, third coin, the 1971 Kennedy half-dollar. A coin that most people in the United States have seen, touched, and even ignored. But what if I tell you that this same ordinary-looking coin sitting in your pocket change could actually hide rare mint errors, special varieties, and surprising collector demand that can turn a simple 50-cent piece into something worth many times more than face value? Now, before you dismiss it, listen carefully, because in today's video, we are not just talking about coins. We are talking about hidden money, overlooked history, and small details that most people never notice until it is too late. The 1971 Kennedy half-dollar marks a very important shift in U.S. coin history. This is the first year after silver was removed from circulation halves, which means starting from 1971, the U.S. Mint changed the composition to a copper-nickel-clad structure. That alone makes it a turning point coin, and whenever a major change happens in minting history, collectors immediately pay attention, because that is where rare variations and unexpected errors are born. Now imagine this. Millions of people received this coin in banks, in vending machine change, in cashier counters, and they all assumed it is just another half-dollar. But here is where the real story begins, because not all 1971 Kennedy half-dollars are the same. Some of them carry mint marks that increase collector demand. Some of them have strike errors that make them extremely desirable. And some versions, especially high-grade uncirculated coins, are now being actively searched by collectors in the United States coin market. So the first thing you need to understand is this: condition is everything. If your 1971 Kennedy half-dollar is heavily circulated, scratched, and worn out, it will mostly remain close to face value. But if it is in mint state condition, meaning it looks almost untouched, still has sharp details on Kennedy's hair, strong shine on the coin surface, and clean edges, then you are already holding something that collectors will evaluate seriously. Now let's go deeper. One of the most important factors in this coin is the mint mark. You will find 3 main types. No mint mark, which means it was produced in Philadelphia D mint mark, which means Denver Mint and S mint mark, which indicates San Francisco Mint proof versions. And here is where things start getting interesting. The San Francisco proof versions of 1971. Kennedy half-dollars are specially struck coins made for collectors, not general circulation. These coins often have a mirror-like surface and extremely sharp details. If you ever find a 1971 S-proof coin in perfect condition, that is something collectors immediately recognize as more valuable than regular circulation strikes. But that is still not the most exciting part. The real attention in coin collecting always goes to errors. And yes, the 1971 Kennedy half-dollar has several known error types that can increase its desirability. Some coins show double die features, where the design appears slightly doubled due to a minting misalignment. This can be seen in lettering, date numbers, or Kennedy's facial details under magnification. Other coins may show off center strikes where the design is not perfectly aligned. Some may have weak strikes, where parts of the design appear faded or incomplete due to mint pressure issues. These are not common in everyday circulation, but they do exist, and when they do, collectors pay attention. Now let's talk about demand. Why do people even care about a 1971 half dollar in 2026? The answer is simple. Nostalgia, silver transition history, and collector scarcity in high grades. Many collectors in the United States are actively completing Kennedy half-dollar sets year by year. That means they need one perfect example of every year, including 1971. And when demand increases while supply of high-grade coins decreases, value pressure builds up naturally. But here is something most beginners don't realize. The biggest mistake people make is spending these coins without checking them first. They receive a half-dollar in change, assume it is common, and spend it instantly, without realizing that they might have just lost a collectible coin that someone online or at auction would have paid a premium for. So if you are watching this right now, here is a simple rule. Never ignore old half-dollars. Always check the year. Always check the condition. Always check the mint mark. Now let's move into how you can identify a potentially valuable 1971 Kennedy half-dollar at home, even without professional tools. First, use simple lighting. Rotate the coin under light and look for strong luster. If the coin reflects light smoothly and shows sharp details, that is a good sign. Second, zoom in on Kennedy's hair details. If the hair strands look fully visible and not flat or worn, the coin may be in higher grade condition. Third, check the edges and lettering. Any unusual doubling or misalignment in Liberty or In God We Trust could indicate a possible error coin. Even small differences matter in coin collecting. Tiny variations that most people ignore can completely change how collectors evaluate a piece. Now let's talk about market reality. A standard circulated 1971 Kennedy half-dollar usually stays close to face value. But uncirculated examples, especially those graded by professional grading companies, can reach significantly higher prices depending on grade level and demand at auction. Proof versions from San Francisco can also attract collector attention, especially when they are preserved in original condition with minimal contact marks. But remember, coin value is not fixed. It changes based on collector demand, market trends, and auction activity. Now here is the most important part of today's video, and this is where most viewers start paying attention. Because what if you are not just looking at one coin? What if you are sitting on a small collection without even realizing it? Many people in the United States who inherited coin jars, old piggy banks, or family collections often find multiple Kennedy half-dollars mixed together. And in those mixed collections, rare coins sometimes hide unnoticed for years. That is why professional collectors always recommend sorting before spending. Take your time. Separate coins by year. Check mint marks. Compare condition. And most importantly, never rush. Because rushing is how valuable coins disappear back into circulation. Now, before we move to the next coin in this series, let's quickly summarize what you should remember about the 1971 Kennedy half-dollar. It is the first year of copper-nickel-clad halves after silver transition. Condition plays a huge role in collector value. Mint marks like S-proof versions are especially important. Error coins can significantly increase desirability, and most importantly, it is still actively collected in the U.S. market. So if you enjoyed this first breakdown, stay tuned, because next up we are going even deeper into another hidden U.S. coin that might still be sitting in everyday pocket change. Completely unnoticed, but potentially much more surprising than you expect.